This is Chad Lubin with Cross Country Mortgage and the Lubin Group. I'm here with some of my newest clients, some of my favorite people, the Poldos. We just recently closed on their home. They're selling a home, and I want to ask them some questions about our bridge loan product, their experience with our team, and anything else that they wanted to share. So thank you guys for being on today.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
So talk a little bit about your home search, what pushed you into the home search, your existing property. I know we started not doing the bridge loan and we started looking at the bridge loan. So just talk about that journey a little bit.
Start.
Go ahead.
Well, basically, we found ourselves being empty nesters, and so we had a home down in Palm Beach Gardens, and we sold that home, and we wanted to downsize, basically, or right size, better said, right? Being empty nesters. So we started doing searching. We searched everywhere from Alabama all the way up to the Carolinas, and we settled on South Carolina. And so, we had this lump sum from the sale of the home, and we wanted to pay something off. We wanted to find a property that we could pay off and live mortgage free. So we did. We found a property. We found a townhouse that we really liked, brand new construction, paid
Beautiful.
cash for it, and everything was fine and dandy. We were loving our situation, and we were what, 6 months in? About 6 months in, and we get a call from my parents, and my parents say, "Hey, we're living in Ocala right now. We love, living here, but we want to be closer to you guys, so we want to move to South Carolina as well." And so that's really where things started to get into the research phase, because we were doing research for my parents to see what they could afford, research in Ocala to see what they could sell their property for. And, it was kind of like an eye-opening experience for all of us, because then we found out, maybe they can't necessarily afford something in this area, to be in the same sort of financial place that they're in now, living in Ocala, being on a fixed income. And then my wife decided, well, maybe we should just do like a multifamily home, right? Where all of us can be in the same home. And so that's where this research continued. We went to our mortgage company that we originally worked with in Palm Beach Gardens, and that's where they referred us to you guys.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing in disguise, because you guys have basically helped us in every way, and in a lot of ways, like I was talking about all the research we had to do. You guys were really very patient with us and allowed us to really go through all the steps of trying to figure out what the best options for us would be.
Right.
And you guys really have a system put in place that allowed us to be guided, not to be told what to do, but to guide us. I never really felt that you guys were trying to upsell us or, force us to be in a certain situation, it felt a lot more consultative and almost like you were helping us, being a financial advisor as well. And so, that's basically where we came to the point where, all right, what can we afford? How should we do it? And then we found a property. We found a property that we all really liked. In fact, my mom was over the moon about it. And it was a little more than what we were looking for, but at the same time, my parents were willing to put in money, and to help us out.
Right.
And then when we got to that point where we found the home, my parents were willing to put in the money. Then we found out they didn't have as much money as they thought they would be putting in.
Right.
And we even talked to you guys about that. And where normally I would imagine most companies would be like, hang on, the phone's ringing, the Poldos are calling, that deal isn't as sweet as it was. You guys continue to stick with us and help us out. And I've always felt a sense of confidence on what was going to be happening. You guys always addressed the concerns before I knew there would be a concern, based on your guys' experience. And, I never felt like, oh man, are we going to get approved, or is this going to happen, or what's going to happen? We always knew what the next steps were going to be. And so back to the story, that house that we originally were looking at didn't work out because of the price point, and not to mention it was owned by one of those corporations that own homes now.
Yep. Yeah, it was an
'Cause
open door house, wasn't it?
exactly, it was an open door house, and so then we actually came across, and we continued to look, and we came across a home that made more sense for us financially. And again, revisiting that with you guys. I mean, I feel like sometimes we came at you guys like half a dozen times with different plans
We
and
changed
changing
our minds
plans.
so many times
Yeah.
because of finance situations with the in-laws, situations with our finances. We have
Concerns.
money tied up in this home,
Right.
and every single time we came with a problem, you guys came with a solution.
Yeah.
And so that was, for instance, when we were actually in the phase of making offers, we were writing contingent offers based on the sale of our townhouse. And nobody in this market wants a contingency offer.
No.
So we came back to you
Especially where
guys.
you guys were looking, right? Hot market.
And so we came back to you guys and we said we have to do something else. And that's when you guys pitched the bridge loan and discussed that with us. And we realized that was the best way for us to transition. And it was seamless. I mean, I think this is the first time we've moved 5 times in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time that we've had a very seamless situation between mortgage, the bridge loan, even the offers we were much more confident because we had the bridge loan to look at. And so it all was very, very communicative between your team and us. And we always felt very confident that not only your products, but also your staff and the efficiency of the whole entire team.
And the accessibility. I mean, my wife would turn to me sometimes and she would be like, hey, it's 9 o'clock at night and you're texting them. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm texting them. So maybe in the morning they'll see it, but then lo and behold, boom, there would be a reply message, or an apology from you guys like, hey, sorry, I didn't get your message. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I texted you at like 9:30 at night. So I wouldn't expect you back, but thanks for the apology. It always felt like a partnership. And back to what you were talking about with the confidence of our offer, with the home that we ended up purchasing, that confidence also translated to us being a very good buyer, in which it was a negotiation it was a leverage in negotiation where the home does need repairs, and the seller didn't back out because they saw how good of a buyer and how strong our deal was, thanks to you and your assistance, and so we were actually able to negotiate a lower price based on some of the repairs that need to be done. And we both feel that we really got a sweet deal with this new property, thanks to the bridge loan. And we're not stressed with having to move and close and repack and move all in the same day. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been convenient too. And I got to commend you guys for your communication, right? We're only as good as the communication we get from the client, the professionalism, the politeness, the gratitude, right? Because it does come down to, if their messages at 9 o'clock at night, the people that are grateful and I know are in a life event, like my mom's in a care facility right now. Her Parkinson's is very advanced. We toggled back and forth of keeping her in a care facility where she's at or moving her in with us. So while you guys were going through this, I was going through the same thing with my mom, and it kind of created a bond. But also, it was the gratitude and the thankfulness, and not every person operates that way. And I get just for the people that watch these, I got to tell you, when you operate that way and you're thankful and grateful, you're just going to get more, right? And that's the truth. We're all humans. We're humans on the other side, and we want to work with people that are grateful for the extra work, that don't get frustrated with a lot of questions. Because my training to my team is, if we don't have answers to questions and we don't get questions, then AI can replace us, right? And maybe it can even with that now with some of the advances, but the online lenders, everybody can replace us if we don't have that consultative approach, that financial advisors, systems and processes in place. And I know, I actually developed a great rapport with the seller side on your transaction too, and had great communication with them. And just when a bunch of professionals come together and we can hype you guys that, hey, they're rock solid, and yes, they have another place to sell, but we have a product as if that doesn't even exist. So this is non-contingent. We can get it done in this time frame. And that also came down to you guys being so organized and being responsive and having good relationships with my team, because the product, the communication, the systems, the service that we put out, it can't all be done by one person. I can't pull that all off. A lot of it, as you guys saw, were my team. So what was there any scary points during this, or anything that made you fearful about the bridge loan? Because you were right. We pivoted from, hey, we're not doing the bridge loan, we're going to sell. A couple offers went in, or a couple of tire kicks, and we kind of realized that wasn't going to be possible. So talk a little bit about when you guys had to pivot of, hey, we do have to use the bridge loan, and this situation is coming now, and we gotta make a move quickly.
It was really, the bridge loan was very briefly discussed in our beginning consult. And we kind of we weren't interested in that because we didn't want to have extra steps in the process. So we thought we would do the traditional sell, buy, transition that way. But then when we realized that we're in a different stage of our life, that we don't want to show a home and sell a home and buy a home at the same time,
Right.
when we decided to look into the bridge loan more. And so we had a more in-depth conversation. And after that, after the bridge loan was really laid out to us because we were more receptive, then that's when we realized it was just a better fit for us and just the way that we want to make the transition. We have done that before. We've closed on our home that we sold and closed on our home that we bought on the same day and moved on the same day. We've done that twice now, and we don't want to do that again. So
Yeah.
allows us to move out of this home that we're selling and not have to live in it while we're showing it and selling it.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point, because I always tell people, hey, when you have money, it doesn't make you better than anybody else, but it does give you options. And when you don't exercise those options, it's kind of foolish, right? And you guys had good equity position in your home and had worked hard to budget and pay down the mortgage well, which created some wealth for you within your real estate. And, that's just an opportunity to exercise that wealth and that money to make your life easier and to give you the time that you need to sell your property at top dollar. Right. So I have twin 9-year-old girls and a 4-year-old. So I'm a long ways away from being an empty nester. And after this morning's chaos of getting my kids fed and here, I was kind of wishing this morning I was an empty nester. So talk a little bit about those emotions and what that's like in your home ownership journey from, having a family at home to not having a family there and just the two of you.
Wow, that's a whole big
Yeah.
suitcase to unpack, really. We've sold homes where we've had dogs, cats, children. We've had to make sure it was, show ready every single morning when we went to work. That is not a fun process in any way, shape, or form. Now that we don't have the extra people to worry about in the morning, we still don't want to do it. And we still don't want to get up and make it show ready every single day.
Yeah.
We found that in our home buying process, we really had to scale it back a bit, because what you think you want in a bigger home and more square footage, more yard, is what you really don't necessarily need as an empty nester. So originally the home that we wanted was much bigger than any home we've ever had before. And we don't even have children at home anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of, again, we pivoted. What are we doing here? Let's keep it simple. Let's get the square footage that works for us.
For me, it was also setting aside ego. Because for so many years, you know, we were chasing, you know, the bigger house, the you know, the school, you know, we got to be in the right school system, you got to be in the right neighborhood, you got to be in the right size house, you have to have a 3-car garage, you know. Now a 2-car garage isn't good enough anymore, you know. Bigger, and also, you know, we found ourselves with all this stuff around us and all these things around us. And when we moved from the last home we were in, it was an adjustment to change our mindset of like, do we need 2 coffee makers? Like, you know, it was like, it was almost those kind of daily decisions of like, do we need all this stuff? And you know, donating the stuff to the right organizations. And getting lean and mean and finding a place that would be comfortable for the 2 of us was an adjustment, because for so many years we were worried about, you know, others, and putting ourselves first was an adjustment. And in fact, it's funny too, because so many of our family members and even our own children, they're like, really, you guys are going to be, you know, living in that place? Or, you know, yeah, really, you guys are going to get into a smaller place? When so many of our friends and so many of our, you know, counterparts at work, you know, they're living in, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 square foot, or 4,000 or 5,000 square foot homes, and it's just the 2 of them. Right. And so all of that is an adjustment, and you know, I don't know, it was all part of being, you know, kind of finding ourselves as empty nesters, right? I don't know.
You can get the mindset where you've always been in, where your next home should be your bigger home. It's your first home. It's supposed to be bigger and more grand. And we had to really change that mindset as empty nesters, that it doesn't need to be bigger and more grand. It needs to be what fits us at this stage of our life.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to have you guys talk to my wife, because she's like, we need more space because we have 3 kids. And I go, no, they need less stuff. That's what they need, right? We need less stuff in our house, because I'm more of the minimalist than she is. And that's just awesome. Well, I thank you guys so much. Gosh, my team loved you. Teresa on the back end, who got you to closing, just raved about you guys. You're just amazing people, very you know, full of gratitude, easy to work with, super organized. You know, my job would be easy if every client was like you. So thank you so much for doing this. Any final thoughts, anything you want to say about your experience, the bridge loan, anything else about your journey?
There were 2 big things that spoke to me about you and your team. And one was the energy. Every single conversation that we had with you or any person in your team had a high level energy. They were willing to help, willing to answer questions. And it created this process to be a much happier process than it has been in the past. You know, everybody thinks it's such a daunting process to buy and sell. The energy that your team has is just, it's unmatched. And secondly, the communication, those conversations every single week, even if it was to call and say, we're good, we don't have anything that we need from you right now. That is so important, to have those conversations on a consistent basis. And they were right on time every single week. So we appreciate all of that.
Absolutely. And again, you guys basically took the most stressful pieces of what was in the past, and you addressed each and every one of them. And a few of them, you know, we didn't even think of those things, and you guys were like almost seeing around the corner, and helping us along the way. And I agree. I mean, it was always great conversations, very honest, very accepting of our questions, even if we asked it 2-3 times the same question. It was always receptive and always helpful.
Well, we always try and remember, if I went to the car shop and a mechanic was telling me things under my hood, I'd have to get it repeated probably 3, 4, 5 times because it's not what I do every day. So I really appreciate you guys saying this. You know, our relationship doesn't stop here. We'll have lower rates ahead. You guys will get our lender free cost refinance when that's appropriate after your 6th payment. We'll invite you to our wealth building workshops, our client parties. You're the type of people that go on our. We only keep it to 400 people, and I've worked with over 6,000 clients in my career. And there's a special group of people that we love on even more than the average client. You guys will certainly go on that list. And it was just amazing to help you. And we're so grateful for not just the business, but the people you are and how you treated my staff. It means a lot to me.
Thank you for everything.
Chad.
You're so welcome. Thank you, guys.